So unfortunately, I think the vast majority of real estate agents just aren't where they want to be. Quite frankly, I think a lot of the agents, at least the ones that I talk to who reach out for coaching, they reach out for help, they communicate with me from a place of frustration. And to me, I think there's really two reasons why that is the case for the vast majority of the people that are in our industry. And my goal with this video is to help bring an awareness around two things that you may look at differently. You start to approach your business differently, and most importantly, gives you clarity so that you can bridge the gap between where you are now and truly where you want to be. The first thing is unrealistic goals. Now, I'm not talking from the context of, hey, you have a goal to make $250,000 and that being unrealistic. You have a goal to make $1 million. I think that's unrealistic. You have a goal of making $10 million a year. I think that's unrealistic. I'm not talking about goals from that context. I'm talking about the context of goals being realistic or not based on this principle of can you versus will you. Let me explain what I mean. So the reality is, can you make $200,000 in your first year, $300,000 in your first year as a real estate agent, or $500,000 your first year in real estate? The answer to that is yes, with 100% certainty. There is a path that if you follow it, that if you put in the work and you execute that path, you will absolutely achieve those types of results. The only question is, will you? So when I'm talking about unrealistic goals, I'm not talking about, is it possible? That's a question I get all the time. It is absolutely 100% possible. I'm speaking from the context of, will you do the work necessary to achieve those results? And that being the thing that may be unrealistic. Let me explain. So let's just pretend that there's an agent watching this video and he or she has a goal of $250,000 a year in income. Fine. We just talked about that's not the problem. The issue or the reality is, actually, let's just do the math. So let's just, for simple math, pretend that the average commission for this agent is, we'll call it $7,500. So $250,000 divided by $7,500 average commission means that this agent needs to close 33 transactions. Okay, fine. What that means, however, is this, that if they're going to earn that type of income or they're going to close 33 transactions in their first year, it's probably reasonable that their skills aren't where they will be later in their career. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they have a 50% close ratio. So every 10 listing appointments they go on, they get 5 people to sign up. Well, if they're going to get 33 closings or 33 closed transactions, that means they're going to have to, and we multiply that by 2, that means they have to go on about 66 or 65 listing appointments. Now, furthermore, if they're going to go on 60, and that assumes, by the way, that they sell every listing that they take, and we know that's probably not reasonable either, but just for the sake of simplicity for this video, let's pretend that that is the case. So they have to go on 65 appointments. Well, we know that every single appointment someone sets isn't going to come to fruition. People cancel appointments all the time. You might cancel some appointments from time to time. So let's say you have a 70% listing appointment set to listing appointment met ratio, which means that this agent would have to set 92 appointments. Fine, I'm good with all of that. These are all lagging indicators, okay? Stick with me here. If they're going to set 92 listing appointments, they're certainly going to have to generate some leads that turn into appointments, because we know the vast majority of our appointments come from the leads that we generate. They don't just come out of thin air, right? We also know that the average is about a 25% conversion from a lead that you generate and that lead turning into an actual listing appointment. The conversion there is about 25%. So if the person needs to set, I think it was 92 listing appointments divided by a 25% conversion, this means that that agent needs to generate somehow 368 leads over the course of the year. Fine. This is the question, however. In order to do that, we also see that there being about a 10% conversion from prospects that you actually have a conversation with that turn into an actual lead. So in this case, if we just divide that by 10%, means that this agent needs to have 3,680 conversations over the course of a year. Breaks down to about 15 to 20 conversations, 5 days a week without ever missing. That to me is the question. It's not, can you do that? You can absolutely have 20 conversations a day with prospects. That is a certainty. That is a decision. That is a choice that you get to make every day. The only question is, will you? Will you have the 20, 25, 30 conversations a day? And if you do, then of course you will hit the result. So when I talk about unrealistic goals, it isn't that the outcome is the thing that is in question. It's your actions or your behaviors that are yet to be determined. That's the evidence that will suggest whether or not you hit the goal that you have. So that's the first thing. The second thing is something called cognitive dissonance. So this is the second problem that I think is the source of a lot of real estate agents' frustration, is that they have this goal, okay? And we'll just keep the goal of 250,000. We just talked about that. We just spent 5 minutes breaking down that that's not the problem. Whatever outcome you want is feasible. It is possible. You can achieve it. The problem with that is when you have the massive ambition, which most people in this industry do. I mean, there is no lack of ambition. We know that. We know that most people that get into this business of selling real estate come in with massive ambition. Everybody wants to make a lot of money. Everybody wants this great lifestyle. There's no lack of ambition. But the cognitive dissonance piece is their actions and their behaviors would suggest something completely differently. So what I mean by that is this. Looking at that example of the agent who wants to earn $250,000 a year, we just outlined simply that agent would have to have about 20, 25 conversations every single day. But then when we look at the agent who has this goal, it's rare that we find the agent doing those things, doing the actions, doing the behaviors that would lead them to a $250,000 income. There's a massive disconnect. That's the cognitive dissonance. Having this massive goal and then acting and behaving in a way that would suggest the exact opposite. And this is why we always say, it's not what people say, it's what they do that will determine their results. And so many agents, you talk to them and so many of them tell you about their exciting goal. All of them. Here's what I want to accomplish. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to buy a Rolex. I want to buy a boat. I want to buy a Ferrari. I want to buy my mom a house. I want to retire my parents. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. But then when we put them under the stopwatch exercise, in other words, when I go and shadow them for a day and I use a stopwatch and they get credit for every time they do something that would lead them to the results that they say they want, we find that by the end of the day, by the end of the week, by the end of the month, they do very, 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 very little to bring them closer to the goal. In fact, they spend the vast majority of their time doing things that, quite frankly, are leading them away from the goal. And that difference is the cognitive dissonance. And so I guess I'll leave you with this. If you're watching this video and you're not where you want to be, and you're open to the idea of having a coaching relationship, and that time is now, I will put a link right underneath this video for when the time is right. You can click it, you can schedule some time to have a conversation with us to learn about potentially working together through our Listing Agent Academy coaching system, where we'll teach you exactly what to do. We'll show you and we'll coach you through exactly how to do it, and we'll hold you accountable to actually doing it. Then I would invite you to click that link, have that conversation, and through a conversation, we can determine if working together right now makes sense or not. And so with that, if not, it's all good. I hope you're getting value from these videos, and we'll see you in the next one.